Thank you for joining me. This is a 10-minute core exercise class. So we're going to start lying down onto our backs and rolling down, feet on the floor, knees facing up to the ceiling and rolling down to the mat. And then taking your feet parallel, feet hip width distance apart. So this is from Pilates, where we find a neutral spine position. So we're rolling the back into the mat and releasing. And we're visualising a marble just around the belly button, just below the belly button. And we want to place that marble in a central position. So it's not rolling forward or backwards. So once we're centred, we're going to come into tabletop position and lift one leg. Nothing changes in your spine. And nothing changes again as you lift both legs. Going to bring the knees in, thighs zipping in, and your shins are level. So I've just dropped my feet a little bit, so my knees and my ankles are level. And then from here, we're going to lift one leg, pointed toe, and then lower, and then alternate. Exhale and lower. You're keeping in that neutral spine position. You exhale, lift. Inhale, lower, exhale, lift. You can stay with this or you can add on, support your head and lift your head and keep the back of the head pressing into your hands and continue with the leg movement. Keeping your knees together. And you can stay with this version, or your third level is not supporting the head and the fingertips reaching forward. We've got one more set. Exhale, you lengthen, inhale as you lower. And then lower the head back down onto the mat. Going to stretch the legs up to the ceiling. Now we're going to take one leg down and just lower the leg halfway. And as you lower halfway, lift and point the opposite toes up to the ceiling. And then you come back in. So this is like a scissor action. Opposite leg halfway, and then the toes of the top leg are reaching up to the ceiling. Opposite toes reaching away from you, and then back to the centre. Continue. Now, if you can take that lower leg down a little bit lower, you can do that. But I want you to stay in that neutral position, so you're not low, lifting your lower back off the floor. And again, we can add in this head position. We can support the head. The back of the head is pressed into the hands. One leg lengthens away, one leg lifts up to the ceiling. So we're active in both legs. And our other option, hands off the floor, not supporting the head. And we've got one more set. You exhale as you lower. Inhale as you release. Exhale as you lower. Inhale as you release, and then lower the head. Bring the knees into the chest. Take a little rock here from side to side. Okay, let's place the feet back down and come back into a neutral position before we continue. You're finding neutral. You're lifting one leg tabletop. You're lifting the other. You're zipping your thighs together. I'm going to adjust my legs so my ankles are level with my knees. This is our toe taps. So it's toe towards the floor. You're moving from your hip. Your knee doesn't move. It stays in that bent position. And then you're back in. And then we're going to flex that same foot and bring the heel down. Exhale. Inhale. Stay with that same side. And then you can add in lifting the head as we've done before. Breathe out as you lower. And then your final option is not supporting the head. One more set. And then release. Lower the head, bring the knees back in before we switch sides. Bring the feet back onto the mat, find your neutral position, and then come back into tabletop. Zip the inner thighs in towards each other. Same on this side, so toe tap. Your movements from the hip, your knee stays the same angle. You're pointing, you're flexing. It doesn't matter if your foot doesn't come to the floor. It's more important to stay in that neutral position than bring the leg lower and come out of that neutral. So you either stay with this or you add on lifting the head. So when you're lifting the head, you can just about see your elbows and you're pressing the back of the head into the hands. And your final option, not supporting the head. One more step. Exhale, lower. Exhale, lower. And then release. And then bring your knees into your chest and take a little rock here from side to side. Roll yourself up. You can roll to one side or roll up and come into hands and knees position. So when we're working hands and knees, we're trying to stay light in the arms. We're not sinking down. We're just lifting slightly out of the shoulders. And take the right leg behind and lift the leg. And then take the opposite arm forward. And then we're going to come in and round in. Exhale. Inhale, lengthen. Lift out the supporting arm. Exhale, round. 2 more. Exhale, round. Slight softness to that supporting elbow. And then hold for 3, for 2, for 1. And then release. Opposite side. I've got room. You're lifting out the supporting arm. You're flexing your back foot. And you're exhaling, you're rounding in. The elbow comes towards the hip. And you're lengthening away. Exhale, come in. Inhale. Lift and lengthen. 2 more. Nice and slow. Lift out the supporting arm. And then come back in and hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. And then release. Good. Let's just circle into the hips. You're going to have your knees hip width distance. Take 2 circles, 1 direction and 2 in the opposite direction. And then sit back into child's pose. Stretch out the arms. And slowly release. Let's come up to a seated position, any comfortable seat that works for you. Just aligning your body so your head is directly on top of your pelvis. Your weight is even through both sitting bones. And then take the arms up nice and wide. V-shape the arms and take a rotation. Keep the lift and length. And keep that lift and length as you come back to the center. Exhale to the twist. Inhale to the center. 1 more each way. And then last one. And then release and then roll the wrists as you bring the hands back. Thank you for joining me.